Looks like we're live. Um, some days the best you can do is show up. And a lot of times that's the thing that determines whether you succeed or fail. So I'm showing up again. Back for the Tuesday live stream is Brian with I Sell Words. I Sell Words is a marketing company I own with my wife. We help small businesses figure out where their bottlenecks are with their marketing or their sticking points, if you will, and help them plan and get around them. So today's episode, we're going to talk about why niching down is important. And that's why the episode is titled, Who Are You Talking To? Because your niche determines exactly who your marketing message is pointed at. So I'm going to go ahead and roll the graphics and we will get into this whole shebang and bang. Talk to you in a moment. Peace. All right, thanks for tuning in. For the unacquainted, my name is Brian. I'm a marketing consultant. My wife is also a marketing consultant. We run a marketing company that works with small businesses and organizations of the nonprofit variety. And we also host a podcast called What's the Business with Brian and Brandy, where we interview business owners and make it our business to get into your business. And so those are the things those are the spaces that we occupy. One of the services that we're rolling out, we've already had a couple of meetings to get this thing rolling, what is our Unstuck sessions. And so this part of the live stream is basically the part five of our Unstuck Sessions live streams. I talk about a specific place where people tend to get stuck anywhere along the trajectory of running their business, whether it be the launch, or maybe sometimes they're even midstream, or sometimes they're looking at rolling out a new product or service. Every once in a while, you run into a bottleneck or a sticking point, and you need some help navigating around it. The thing that makes it unique is what we do is we focus solely on one point at a time. Because a lot of times when you get done, when you're consulting with people, or if you've ever been consulted with, you end up leaving with a laundry list full of issues, and you have to unpack all those issues and prioritize them. We want to simplify it by really honing in on the one issue that's keeping the whole thing from moving forward. And so that's what the entire Unstuck sessions are. If you're interested, the book, the introductory sticking point meeting, that's where we just get a formal idea of what your sticking points are and kind of communicate them to you. That's $99. And I will drop the link in the show notes here, or wherever you find this. I'll probably post in the comments in the comment thread. So to get started, who are you talking to? Now, depending on where you grew up, who are you talking to can either be a genuine question or an actual threat, depending on what kind of environment you grew up in. And sometimes who are you talking to can really feel accusatory because you're like, well, who am I talking to? And other times it's, I'm talking to you. So the reason why I'm asking who are you talking to basically is more or less as a business owner or the head of an organization or whatnot. I'm asking who are you talking to? Who is your audience? Who's your tribe? Who are the people that this service specifically is designed to help? And a lot of business owners can't really identify that. They can't articulate that. People will go, well, I run a doohickey service and we manufacture doohickeys. And so anybody that needs a doohickey, we're here to serve you. Well, there's specific needs and there's specific types of doohickeys that people need. And you may not make all the different kinds of things that somebody needs. And so having a good sense of who your market is allows a good sense of who your niche is allows us to really fine tune a marketing message and the laser focus on that area. And so that is the importance of establishing what a niche is. A lot of people really feel threatened by the concept of establishing a niche. And I get it, it's scary because you're taking everybody, the whole planet of potential clients, and you're narrowing it down to a select few. And that feels like you're excluding people or you're cutting off a lot of business that could be flowing into your doors and stuff like that. And I'm here to tell you that that's not exactly how it works. you can define and redefine and find new business in particular niches. And I'll kind of give you a couple of really super hypothetical examples. Um, and hopefully this by the end of this, you'll be able to kind of take what I've given you and start finding out areas of specialty within your business, whether you're in the planning stages or you're still in execute, or you're in the either in planning stages or actually implementing and executing things. Maybe you can change your approach to really laser focus on uh, a profitable niche. So when I talk about niches and when I talk about examples, let's say the example I had this morning was, let's say you're a personal trainer. Now, who can personal trainer serve? It's pretty much anybody that wants to work out, get in shape, lose weight, or whatever. That's a very super broad category, but there are subcategories that you can step to and find a lot of underserved markets in those subcategories. But you just got to think, do you have, when you look at your client book, do you have people that are emergency weight loss patients? These are people where they have to lose weight for a medical emergency, maybe for surgery, maybe it's just to save their lives. Um, that's a specific niche with the specific needs. And you can find where those people are, by going to your local hospital and talking to, I can never say the name, gastroenterologists and all those kinds of people that specialize in weight loss surgery, bariatric surgery, things along those lines. You can really start marketing towards that group, and you can become very good at marketing towards that group. And if you get enough hospitals, get enough relationships with doctors that specialize in emergency weight loss, you can build up a pretty good book of clients where you're never really out of business because you always have somebody to work with. Let's say we're still in the personal training niche. Let's say you have an affinity for training pregnant women. You know, People that are pregnant that still want to stay in shape, she wants to maintain what she has going on. And so, because for a lot of women, pregnancy doesn't stop the workouts, but having a trainer that understands kind of how to tailor workouts and what works and what's appropriate and what's not, that can be a niche in and of itself. You can market towards, if you're a personal trainer, there are people that are going through different stages of rehab. They may be rehabbing from different injuries. You can have sports rehab, accident, if they're rehabbing from accidents, they're trying to get use of their limbs again. There's all kinds of different sub niches in the personal training space that just by hanging your shingle and saying you're a personal trainer actually limits you, because you're in the personal training space where everybody's occupying. And when everybody's occupying that space, price ends up becoming the thing that separates you, not specialty of service. And when price is the only thing that differentiates you between you and the person standing next to you, they're going to go with the lowest priced person, and then it becomes a race to the bottom. So when you are looking at your business, figure out specifically what niches you can find to occupy, what specialties you can occupy. The It's a tired, it's kind of a tired explanation, but the doctors that specialize in something are the ones that get paid the most, and that's kind of how it rolls. So find out what your niche is and jump into that and live there. Occupy that space. Occupy. Um, Here's the thing: if you are the solution in the box for a specific segment of the population, you are never without potential clients. So, if you're in your business right now, I want you to take a good look at who you're serving and figure out, okay, so this is a sub segment of who I'm serving. Let me find some of the commonalities between these specific clients. And maybe I am actually serving a niche, I just don't know it. Because a lot of times businesses are specifically serving a very specific niche. They're just completely and totally unaware of that niche of who they're serving. And it can be kind of distracting. I mean, it can throw you off. And it may be really revealing to sit down and look at, okay, these are the commonalities of the people I'm serving, right? And start finding, oh, well, most of my clients are retired teachers. Most of my clients are actually retired business people. Maybe they're entrepreneurs that have stepped out and retired. What are some of the common things? What are some services that align specifically with their what they need? Um, Last year around this time, Brandy and I were actually getting ready to go. We were about a week out from going to Las Vegas, and um, we went out to a conference, and it was for financial professionals, but it was a marketing conference for financial professionals. And one of the really interesting things that we saw um, were the people that were on the stage. One, the thing that we noticed and the thing I peeped real quick was all the people that were dressed to impress somebody were typically, um, captive agents. They were working with somebody. The people that were dressing comfortably were the people that owned the companies and were kind of the heads of state there. So that's that. But one of the things we noticed, the more successful financial planners were the ones that had a clearly defined niche that they worked in. One of the cats on the main stage, he was a financial planner for people that, for tattoo artists. He knew the industry. He knew what barriers people on their tattoo shops dealt with, and he knew how to financially plan specifically for them. He was never out of business. Never. Business wasn't slow. He was able to build an entire agency around that. And his marketing message is always going to be dialed in because it's always going to speak directly to the people that he wants to serve. That's real. A lot of times business owners feel like they're limiting themselves by diving into, well, what if X happens, or what if I run out of tattoo artists and whatnot? Well, he can get certified in other states. There's no shortage of tattoo artists walking around on the planet. There's no shortage of tattoo artists that need somebody to manage their money walking around on the planet. And they're going to want to hire a specialist who specifically understands the needs and ebbs and flows of their industry and can manage their money accordingly. So it's really understanding specifically the power of focusing on one thing and doing that one thing well. With our journey with I Sell Words, it's been a journey because I've actually touched base in a lot of different things. I have a lot of different capacities in terms of marketing stuff. Oh, all right. Let me go. Before I get too far into it, let me go. It looks like we have comments. Yeah, the power of the niche is super powerful. It can change the way that you perceive your business and opportunities for your business. I never thought of that. I'm glad to have triggered something. I really, my goal with these live streams is to get you to think a little bit differently about how your business operates. A lot of times we get too caught up into the day to day that we never step back and take that big view of our businesses and how our marketing aligns with the clients that we want. Because when I say the right niche can make your business bulletproof, if you have a niche that's dialed in and you know your audience and they know you have the ability to really kind of be yourself in your business without feeling like you're putting on any airs, because the people that support you will always support you. They'll always rock with you. And that's what's important. I don't think people understand the importance of having an audience that will always ride with you. They will always align with you, and they'll always support you, because it's not their business that they're supporting, is you they're supporting. They're supporting you. They like you. And so that's the reality of it. A lot of times business owners get too caught up, specifically with all the political landmines that you can step on as you're navigating the social media waters. A lot of times business owners end up serving a niche of clients that they don't really like or they don't align with from a political standpoint. And at that point in time, anything on your social media that pisses people off, they can instantly shut you down. If you got a marketing mismatch where your beliefs don't align with your clients, that's a quick and fast way to be out of money. That's the reality, and that's unfortunate, but that's the world we're living in. People have gotten online and started talking I would say reckless. I don't know if that might be the specific terminology, but people hop online and start talking crazy, and saying things that they feel like they're speaking from their heart, but really all they're doing is alienating a chunk of their audience. Well, the reason why that alienating a chunk of their audience, it could be your messaging. It could be you are saying repugnant things and you need to be checked for it. Or it could be that audience isn't necessarily aligned with who you are as a person, and not just a business owner, but as a human being. And so when you really dial in your marketing message, you attract people that align with what you do. So, specifically, the example we were talking about this morning in one of my meetings, we're talking about influence that I listen to for strength tips, for workout tips, or whatnot. I politically do not agree with this man on a lot of things, but from understanding and knowledge of strength training, I do follow him, and he's crafted his audience to kind of mimic what his personality is and what his political affiliations are. And so whenever he posts something, people gobble it up because his audience is aligned with who he is as a person. It's a very powerful thing to have. And so his business is uncancelable, to be honest with you. He can piss off anybody he wants to, and it's not going to hurt his business model too much because his clients align with his values as a human being. Like I said, I don't necessarily agree with a lot of stuff he says, but I do listen to him when it comes to strength training because that's what he knows. And so, but his message is really super dialed in. It's amazing to watch. A lot of other businesses have kind of taken that model for better or worse. I know Chick-fil-A is one of the ones that really tried to dive into it, but come to find out they were dependent on a lot of the people in the community that they had shunned, and that did kind of limit what they can do. But having a good sense of who your audience is a good way to know what marketing message you can put out there that are going to generate money or going to generate leads. Also, what messages you can put out on social media that are going to attract the kind of people that you want. Because once you have an idea of who your niche is, it's really easy to continue to market to that niche. If you know exactly who your dream client is because you've already served your dream client, you're a couple of questions away from finding people who are just like your dream client who will pay you without hesitation and who will love your services. It's a couple of questions away. And so we're going to talk about the power. Like once you figured out what your niche is, we're going to talk about what the next step is. So you figured out what your niche is. You figured out specifically who you want to market to, who you want to serve. So what do you do now? Well, now is where you can start building out the community, having Facebook groups or, I'm familiar with Facebook groups, but there's thousands of different Discord groups and all kinds of other stuff that really focus on people with similar passions talking about things, which is more or less. But you can build your own community. It can be based on a mailing list, which I always advise is having a mailing list. It could be a Facebook group. I've seen business owners have tremendous success creating a Facebook group around kind of what their business is, where they're just talking about topics surrounding their business, and they have a built-in audience for products or services. I've seen it happen. But you can start building a community around it, because when you build a community around around your business, you always are going to have clients that are going to be looking for you, and you're not constantly trying to find new clients because your community will actually bring you clients that align with what you've created. Now, in all industries, that may be hard to do. It's not impossible, but some industries are more broad facing. They face a broader market, and so the challenge of finding a niche there is a little bit tougher, but it's also vital, because once you figure out what your niche is, you can really dial in your marketing and you can really figure out where your specific clients are. So I urge every business owner, every nonprofit founder or director to really dial in to figure out exactly the who you're serving. Like figure out the who your audience is, where they come from, where do they congregate, so that you can get a message to them. Now, Um, you have the community set up. You have, email list, or you have a Discord server, or you have a Facebook group. You have your tribe of people that follow you on Twitter, because that's another group. A tribe of people that follow you on Instagram, that's another group. You have people that are following you, that are interested in what you have to say, either because you're providing a great service that they all can benefit from, or you're providing them valuable information about the business or service that you're providing. So now what? What does having that community in your back pocket allow you to do? Well, having a community in your back pocket allows you to actually do some market research. You can start asking questions. You can start testing products. Hey guys, what do you think about if I did X, Y, and Z? I'm considering creating this new product. Who would be interested in something like that? What are some things that drew you to my services? You can ask these specific questions of that group, and you'll get real-time feedback so that you can start shaping out your next product or service. You know, hey, I'm coming up with this new product line. This is what it does. These are the features, these are the benefits. How much do you think, how much is this worth to you? You can ask these kind of questions once you actually have a who in mind. Once you have an audience in mind, you can start polling your audience and getting that valuable market research that companies actually do pay millions of dollars for. Companies pay millions and millions and millions of dollars for market research. So why not build your own audience and do the market research yourself? That's the real. If you have a Facebook group that you've started that's around something your business does, a shared interest revolving around your business. When you go back and ask that group what their opinion is, that's millions of dollars worth of game that you can soak up, because those are your potential clients who are giving you real-time feedback about what they will buy, what they won't buy, or how to calibrate your services to meet their needs so that they can give you more money for your services. That's powerful and that's potent. And people don't really think about it like that. But I've interacted with enough business owners, and I'm not giving away anybody's business model here. So if you, but I've interacted with enough business owners that have successfully built communities of their own in their specific fields, and they use that to educate their client base. They use that to constantly interact with their client base, to stay top of mind with their clients. And so, in that forum or in that group, they end up becoming the main source of information. And when you're the main source of information for a potential consumer, you just have given yourself a ticket for them to come solicit you, shop with you, buy your product service, or book you in for a consultation, or where you can book them in for a consultation. There's a lot of different things you can do once you have that level of relationship with them, where you're constantly interacting with them on a day-to-day basis. You step over that gap of trust that a lot of people have when they initially meet somebody off the rip. I see it in action all the time. I'm in a networking group. I see it in action all the time. People that don't really have any connection to the group coming through, or kind of testing the waters. It takes a little bit of time to build that trust. You can't initially come in and start asking for business without building some kind of rapport with the people in that group. And once you have that rapport, you're going to be their first option, depending on what service you're providing. But they have to get to know you. Social media allows us to shorten that chain of getting to understand what a person's thoughts are, how they perceive things, or what their expertise is. It shortens that chain so people can just hop online, interact with you in a group, get a good sense of who you are and what you believe in. And then if you have a good marketing message, the next step is, okay, so I trust you to do right by me. Now we can move forward. That's one of the hardest things that a business owner can do, to gain somebody's trust. And you can shorten that chain by just talking to them and engaging them on social media. There's a danger with social media, because if you're not aligned with who your clients are, what they want, or what their expectations are, you can really royally hurt yourself. During 2020, I saw that a lot, where people were letting their real feelings and letting their flags fly, and damaging potential relationships with communities because they were either outside and they were saying things were that angered specific communities or whatnot. I've seen a lot of business owners tank their business not based on the pandemic, but because of the way they interacted with people in their circle, the way they reacted and responded to um, people in the community, clients, former clients, hopping on with, their political messaging and leading with that. And it didn't align with what the clients were wanting. And it was a bad mismatch. If you have a dialed in niche of people and you also have your social beliefs and your social causes that you strongly believe in, you can absolutely integrate that into your marketing message and you end up weeding out the people that don't align. That's the reality. Not understanding who your audience is leaves you open to that kind of stuff. It can really kind of damage your reputation moving forward with potential and future clients if you don't have your marketing message dialed in. So that's the power and importance of a niche. I'm gonna take a quick pause for the calls, and I'll be right back with you. And hopefully, we can start answering some questions about niches. So, quick pause for the calls, and we'll be right back. All right, can y'all hear me? Again, so now we can start answering questions. If you got any specific questions about how to determine what your niche is, if you haven't really sat down and thought about it, if you haven't had an opportunity to do so, now's your opportunity to ask me questions regarding how do you figure out what your niche is. And you could just leave them in the comment section and I'll answer them as they come in. I have a pre-generated list. And so we can start talking about having this conversation about how you determine what your niche is. But I've talked to you about the importance of it. So I'll get started with the questions. And then if y'all have any questions about niches, go ahead and hit me up. Because here's the reality, and this is the piece that I need to emphasize. This is a sticking point that it can limit you because what you're doing, you end up in this loop where you're constantly looking for the right client. And you're constantly spending money marketing to clients that don't specifically align with they don't specifically align with what your values are. They don't align with what your business is. You're having a difficult time providing the adequate services because you don't know exactly who you're marketing to. And so that is the importance of niches. So if you have questions, drop them in the comments and I'll answer them. But I will start with basically how to kind of determine what your niche is. So first question you should ask yourself when you're determining your niche, and these are coming from LinkedIn, y'all. So, but I'll add more. Of course, I'm going to add more. Figure out what your passion is. Are you passionate about walking dogs? If you're passionate about walking dogs, that's a niche. That's a very specific title in the pet industry, which is a dog walker. And dog walkers can make money depending on how you tailor your services or how you target your services. If you're a dog walker for busy professionals, and that's exactly who you market towards, people that have high paying jobs who need dog walkers on call at all hours, and can go above and beyond the pet care duty, you absolutely have a niche right there. But figure out what your passions are. What are the things that get you up in the morning? What are the things that excite you? Those are areas that you really want to focus in terms of when you're kind of determining what your niche is. Because even within your industry, start figuring out what your personal interests are and start defining what circles do you write in. Are you a youth sports parent? You can design services for parents of kids that are in multiple sports because they have different needs. So figure out what your passions are. That's important. 2, What are you good at? I know we don't spend a lot of time talking about it, but what do you have some proficiency in? Um, I've seen business owners I've seen people that were in the corporate world who ended up becoming business owners um, in the same field that they occupied as a corporate employee, if that makes sense. But they were doing it on their own terms. So figure out what you're good at or what your hobbies are. If you're a great woodworker, maybe you can make custom handcrafted furniture. We got friends that they design cornhole boards. For that game cornhole where you throw the bean bags into the holes, they design custom boards for people. That's a very I mean, they love doing it. It's something they're good at, and it's a little profitable little side thing for them. But find out what you're good at. What problem can I solve? Now, this is the most important one, and I think I need to draw a point of emphasis on what problem in the marketplace do you solve? I would almost lead with this. What problem do I want to solve for people? Mm-hmm. With the Unstuck sessions, I'll use myself as an example. When we were coming up with Unstuck sessions, one of the things we found out as consultants is when we sit down and consult with people, there's always a laundry list of issues, a laundry list of bottlenecks and stumbling blocks and sticking points that people end up coming away with. And then we try as a consultant, okay, so we're going to try to address all of these things around the same time and assigning different priorities to them and things along those lines. And I started to realize that was a pretty ineffective way to get things done for business owners. Because with a business owner, we figured a business owner or the head of an organization or something, you have to simplify the process because there's so many other things a business owner's working on a day-to-day basis. And addressing a laundry list of other issues may be too much to ask. But if we could just focus on one at a time, remove that one sticking point and see what flows around it, it may remove other log jams down the road or down the stream. If we remove just one, give laser focus to it and blow it out of the water, we see what starts moving or what starts shaking after we get this one thing taken care of. And that's where the concept of sticking points meetings came from. Focusing on one single issue. Like I said, the problem was with a consultant, or with a consulting client, there's too many different topics that you have to hit at one time. So we said, what if we just had a meeting that was focused on one? And that's where the issue came from. So we had quickly to figure out what problem we were solving in the marketplace. We're saving time by focusing on one issue. Try to keep the meetings under an hour. And then we try to lead people with action steps of what to go do next, so that nobody feels adrift. And that was the problem we were trying to solve. So when you're looking at your business or organization, figure out what problem needs to be solved, and then put your mind in on what unique skills do you bring to the table to help people solve it. That's why people buy services. They buy things because they have a problem that needs to be solved. I'm hungry. I'm going to go stop at this place to get something to eat. My tire's flat. I'm going to go either get my tire patched or replaced. My brakes are squeaking. I need to go and get my brakes checked. Maybe I need my brakes replaced or something else along the line of service. My leg hurts. I need to go to my doctor. I need to solve this problem. So businesses are built on solving problems. Organizations are built on solving problems. Figure out what problems need to be solved. Dream client. This is important. Business owners do not think about this enough. I say it all the time. Who's your dream client? My clients that work with me consistently know that's the main question that I'm asking. Who is your dream client? Who is the client that comes in that never stresses you? It's a pleasure to work for them. They never question your price. And they always seem super pleased with whatever you give them. And I'm not saying you're giving them the bare minimum. I'm saying that your services meet their expectations of service. Who are your dream clients? You have to determine this. You have to sit down. If you got to sit down and give them names and where they work and how many kids they have and what kind of car they drive, do it. But understanding who your dream clients are allows you to dial in your services and your marketing to attract more of those dream clients. If everybody that you interact with is your dream client, your business is doing really, really well because you're not tied to price. You're not tied to fickleness of people. You're not worried about somebody shopping you. Since they already are your dream client, they're aligned with your marketing message. And you don't have to worry about somebody coming and swiping them away. And as long as you provide your dream client with everything they want and they continue to be your dream client, there's a lot of different things that you can do with that. But a lot of businesses don't sit around and think, who are my ideal clients? And I'll be honest with you, if you want to know how to do that, sit down, look at your list of clients and say, who do I love working with? And then ask yourself why. Who do I love working with? Who have had the most pleasant experience working with? And ask yourself what made that experience pleasant. So, yes, having an idea of who your dream clients are is super powerful. Is there a market for my niche? Yeah. Sometimes ideas are great. Ideas are great. Ideas are incredible. They're dope. Ideas are fantastic. But then the application of those ideas is where everything falls down. And so sometimes you have to figure out, yeah, I have this great idea and I think it could change the world, but if nobody's buying it, you can't sell it. That's the reality. You have to find a market for your niche. And so having a good sense of who your dream clients are allows you to figure out who your market is. And even if you haven't started a business yet, start sitting down and figuring out, okay, who do I want to serve and what do I think the perfect client experience is, and start building around that. But that way you have a person in mind where you can start asking questions about the market. Because the reality is, if nobody's buying what you're selling, you can have the greatest product in the world, but if nobody wants it, it's hard to sell, no matter how good it is. Then once you figure out your dream clients and figure out your market, how do you narrow down? Because the secret with niches isn't going wider, it's going more narrow. Okay, so let's go back to the example I did with personal trainers. So you have weight loss clients. What are some sub niches in weight loss? Okay, am I working with athletes who want to lose weight? That's a different way to methodology. That's a different way to work out. Am I dealing with retirees that want to lose weight? Am I dealing with people who experience accidents and want to lose weight? Am I dealing with emergency weight loss clients? These are different sub niches that you can serve within your niche. It allows you to narrow down. And once you narrow down, every time you narrow down, you charge a little bit more for your services because now you're specializing in something. Narrow down is super important. You don't want to get in your niche and start broadening out and start finding new niches to serve. You can, but every niche that you come up with, every population that you want to serve, every different service you provide requires marketing resources for that new service. And sometimes you don't have the bandwidth to market everything that you can do. You don't have the money to, you don't have the resources to, you don't have the time to. So just keep that in mind. All right. What's your brand? I'm hot and cold on the concept of a brand. I know that that's the nouveau thing to do is, branding and, figuring out what your brand is and brand identity and all this other stuff. The reality is, and I've been saying this, clients don't care about your brand until they experience your service. And then once they experience your service, if they really like your service, that kind of defines your brand for them. You can spend all the time you want sitting around and defining what your brand is. But if the client experience, once they interact with your brand is poor, they're going to ascribe whatever values to that brand that they come up with based on the quality of service that they received from you. And so I'm not huge about the branding piece. I do like uniformity. I like consistency with messaging and stuff, but I don't think that that's the overriding thing. I think you have to provide a phenomenal client experience before you start considering what your brand is. And you have to consistently provide that phenomenal client experience multiple times, multiple iterations. You can't just do it once. It has to be you have to do it. You have to have a broad base to satisfy clients. Brand is important, but it's not more important than your service delivery or your follow-up systems. It can help determine your marketing, but it's kind of your brand is kind of created based on the what your client's perceptions is, and it's very hard to control what other people's perceptions of you are, um, outside from doing your absolute best for them and seeing if they're pleased or not. So brand, I'm hot and cold on that one because I think too many people hide behind BS brands. I feel like, the good the shining example of people ascribing too much value to a brand based on name alone is the Beats by Dre headphones, which if you're in any kind of industry or whatnot where you deal with sound and stuff, these are not these are not they're not the greatest headphones that you're ever going to encounter. You can buy some Sony headphones that will blow any Beats by Dre headphones out of the water. If you're looking at professional headphones that audio engineers use or professionals that work with audio, Beats by Dre is not the top. Its brand name is popular, and because it's popular, people are able to people ascribe a lot of value to that brand. But um, eh, I don't think the brand is, and the other side of it is, now that people have kind of noticed all they do is turn up the bass on those headphones and the sound isn't that much better, it's kind of getting a negative backlash from being branded as Beats by Dre, if that makes sense. Because people know, A, off the rip, those headphones aren't really that great. Materials aren't that good. The internals aren't really that good. And the sound isn't much better than what you can buy at any local drugstore. So, but you're just buying the name brand. You're not exactly buying the quality associated with that name brand. You're just buying the brand. And it works for some people. Some people love the labels. They love the brand name stuff. But there's starting to be a backlash against, low quality brand name products. And so I think I'm leery about putting a brand above everything else. I think you have to provide a phenomenal service before you start even delving into what the brand is, because you don't have the same level of ubiquity as McDonald's, Pepsi, Coca-Cola. You don't have that where people associate your brand with a specific product. You ain't there yet. And I don't think you need to lead with your brand first. And I see a lot of independent contractors. I see a lot of freelancers, a lot of consultants leading with that brand message first. And they lead so hard with it that they don't really focus on what the client experience is. And so, I've learned the hard way. Sometimes you got a great client and everything aligns, and sometimes there's a mismatch and things don't align. I think you got to focus on your client delivery first. Once you're able to deliver a phenomenal experience, and replicate that process to deliver a phenomenal experience each time, that's when people start investing in your brand, not before. Um, that's just what I'm saying. You're not McDonald's, you're not Beats by Dre. You don't have that level of, you're not Apple. You don't have that level of awareness or knowledge of your brand. So lead with delivering a great service first. I don't think the brand is that important until people experience your service. So we talked about the different things to kind of determine your niche. And according to LinkedIn, I have my own caveats with it, but this is a good place to get started. When you're trying to determine your niche, number one, figure out what your passions are. Number two, figure out what you're good at. Number three, figure out what problem I can solve. I would almost put what problem I can solve as number one. What problem can your product or service solve? Number four, I would say put that as number two and figure out who your dream client is. Because um, if you can figure out what problem can you solve and who your dream client is, that aligns all the rest of your marketing messages, and you can really hit the ground running and attack, and get some good outcomes. So anybody have any questions regarding finding out a niche, or if you're figuring a niche is a sticking point for you, absolutely go ahead and reach out to us. The email is scrolling at the bottom, and we can schedule a sticking point meeting so that we can kind of assess, where you're stuck at, and then start coming up with ideas about how to get you unstuck. So, um, I'm gonna stay online. I'm gonna kind of chill here for a little bit. I got a little bit of time before I need to leave. But if you got questions or anything regarding, figuring out a niche, or you need a little bit of help with it, I can help you here. If you want to type in a question or what, or a comment. Again, for me, showing up is the big thing, and I know that consistently, if I show up, it's going to turn out, and that's the thing I lead with. So, I've seen people comment a couple of days afterwards, and that's dope. I just love your attention, and I love the fact that I'm able to help somebody. If sharing this video with somebody does them a service, but I don't get any business out of it, I'd rather you share it with them and help them start thinking about how they can make their business more profitable by finding a specific niche to serve. For business owners, a lot of times when we're serving everybody, and I know there's specific industries where you're like, it's hard to niche down because our service is really for everybody. Sit down and go through your client list and figure out, is your client, maybe a lot of your clients are retired police officers, and you're getting spread by word of mouth. You just don't know it. Maybe your clients are military, active duty, or retired. Maybe, again, I've said teachers. Maybe a lot of your clients are former college players. Maybe they're former athletes. Maybe they're weekend warriors. You never know where the word of mouth is coming from, but the thing that's going to the thing that's going to tell you the most is going through who your clients are and figuring out what commonalities they have, so you can start figuring out where they're coming from. Because once you start figuring out where your clients are coming from, you know where to dump your money and resources into it. Because the marketing game is one that is won by more money in some cases. But the thing that beats that money is having a target to hit. If you're targeted and you know exactly where your clients are, you can laser focus your marketing efforts on that specific target and get results that outpace everybody else with deeper pockets. So figure out the who you're serving. That's the part where you want to start. You figure out who. Everything else falls in place. And like I said, if you go through your client list, figure out what things they have, what most of your clients do. Start figuring out if all your clients are around a certain age, or if all your clients live in a certain zip code. Start figuring out the things that make your clients a community, and then build a community around it. All right. Still on to answer any marketing questions specifically regarding niches today. Oh. So, all right. I'm kind of going through here. But any marketing questions about niches or how to determine a niche, if you need a longer meeting, I'm always down for an unstuck meeting. $99 or sticking points meeting a sticking point is our initial meeting where we sit down and determine what your sticking points are and determine which one we want to address. And then the unstuck meeting is how we address the sticking point that we determined in the first meeting. $99 to get started. I forgot what the price is for the Unstuck sessions. I'd have to go back and look, but really it's a power hour designed to give you the most bang for your buck. The clients that we've served so far with our beta testing of the Unstuck session meetings have really given us great feedback, and we're really wowed by the entire process. They left with something when they came in. And a lot of times when it comes in consultation, you don't always leave with something. And that's the thing that Brandy and I really want to emphasize, really want to deliver for our clients. We want to have them be able to leave with something, leave with new knowledge, or a next couple of steps, or some resources that they can use to start solving their problems. We don't want to, because a lot of times consultation meetings are just an upsell for other products. And that's all it is. You don't really leave with any new information. You just leave with, okay, so this is, I need to pay more to get X, Y, and Z. No, when we do the Unstuck Session meetings, um, we sit down and really figure out and try to pull the problem apart and really drill into it so that we can give you something to walk out with. That's important to us. That's the value of it. And to give you a laser focus for young business owners, or when I say young, or I say young business owners, but for starting out business owners, because you can be a first time business owner at 50 years old, or 60 years old, however old you want to be. But for starting out business owners, it's super valuable to actually leave with actionable information. A lot of times when you get too far, and this is last week when I was a couple weeks ago when I said, you know too much. A lot of times when you go into diving into the books and everything, listen to audiobooks, listen to YouTube, you don't leave with anything actionable. You leave with a bunch of concepts with no actions to take. The sticking point meetings are really about leaving with some kind of action, some kind of next action to take. And that's important. If we're talking about determining what your niche is, we need to tell you, okay, this is how you determine what a niche is. You go back and figure out what clients you've worked with and who gave you a dream experience. Okay, so what do they do? Who are they? You come up with the client avatar and use that client avatar to build your services around. What services will make this client avatar super pleased with our services? Those are the things that you do. These are the steps that are laid out. That's the danger a lot of times when you get into the DIY space, because a lot of times the DIY space gives you plenty of concepts and no next actions, no next steps to take. One of these days I'm going to probably use this space to start reviewing business and marketing books that I read, because I consume at least once a month, one or two a month. And I can start pointing you in the direction of books that actually give you actionable stuff, and books that just discuss concepts and don't really tell you what to do next. That's important. That's something that's super important. All right. So we're chugging along. I'm at a point now where I think, I'm going to start wrapping things up, y'all. If you got any questions or concerns, hit me up at mail@icellwords. If you want to book a sticking points meeting, whether you are just planning out what your business is and just getting started, or you are looking for, you're looking to start a new project line or service, go ahead and hit me up, and we could sit down and kind of start mapping out what your sticking points are and figure out ways to blow them out of the water. So I'll be back next Tuesday. I'll holler at you later. Oh, shoot. Let me look and see my comments, because I'm not shading anybody. It's not to shade anybody. A lot of times when comments come through, especially on Facebook, it doesn't tell me exactly who's posting. So, Tasneem, thanks. Let me go back. I got some comments to reply to, so that's what I'll do. I'll catch y'all next Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in. Talk to you later. Brian Hill with I Sell Words Media and What's the Business Podcast. Talk to you later. Peace.